All right, hello everyone. Welcome to a new edition of the Low Code Campfire. This is the edition for Friday, October 21 of 2022, episode number 71. And I have entitled this ChartJS to PDF just because that's the one thing I learned and did yesterday, but really it's open line Friday, right? Anything you want to talk about, but we'll get into that in just a minute. Let me introduce myself. I'm Dale Warner, Head of Support for Plantain App. This is an event we do most Fridays, this same hour. It's a community gathering where we get together and talk about things that are going on with Plantain App and in specific, low code in general. And you're encouraged to bring something to show or be ready to help with ideas and suggestions. This meeting is open to all skill levels, and so we're happy to have you here. All of our past editions are recorded, or at least most of them are, and they're all available on our YouTube channel, plantainapp.com. We encourage you to subscribe to that. You can do that with the QR code there, or just youtube.com/plantainapp. But subscribe, get notified when we have new events, new videos posted. We run a pretty simple agenda, very flexible. So we'll do introductions, anybody new to the group, and then we'll do first call, any contributions to the Campfire website, which I know there's one there. There's a community feature requests, and I know there's at least one there. Anything submitted in advance. We sometimes tell ghost stories, the time when we spend hours doing something that should have taken 5 minutes, and so maybe we save somebody else some time there. And then after an hour or so, we go into our afterglow segment. We turn off the recording and open a virtual beer. Please jump in, show and tell, chat with us, just come off mute and be engaged. We have very few rules. We do like it when you're nice, and if you have noise going on behind you, if you will mute, that'll be great. Patrick guest hosted a couple of weeks ago and said that you guys were extremely quiet, and I'm just reminding you that there's consequences for not participating. You can submit questions and topics in advance, and we have at least one of those today. And with that, good morning. I'm getting better at that, I think.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So nobody new to the group, no introductions are necessary, so glad you're all here, but we will now move into first call. What's going on?
Well, Dale, I think you've pretty much got my topic nailed down.
So Matt took advantage of live help yesterday and asked a question, and I didn't know the immediate answer, but I spent the next hour learning something, so that was good. Have you had a chance to see whether that's going to solve your problem or your immediate problem, Matt?
Well, yes, I have, and I think it's going to help me through the kind of proof of concept stage that I'm in now, getting on to the next step. As far as a long-term viable option, let's put it this way. I think it's perfectly suited for, straightforward one-pagers where you want to put a graph on. But in terms of anything larger than that, I don't think it's going to hold up under production.
Yep.
But nonetheless, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it.
Sure. So I think Matt talked about this some last week too in this group, but the idea that having produced a website that does a lot of functionality, that at some point you're going to have to, he needs to be able to generate an involved report from that. Part of that was that there's might be visual charts in ChartJS, and how do you incorporate those charts into a PDF? It's not immediately evident how to do that. So that's I think an interesting technique that could have other uses as well. So whether you use it just for that to build a simple report that includes a ChartJS or two, or whether you have something more involved that you want to accomplish, excuse me, some other functionality that might use the same kind of how do I get an image, a dynamic image into a PDF, or even store it in a database, or there are a variety of things that you might want to do with it. So I think it's an interesting technique that was worth discovering. The back to the original question, I think it was it Report.js, or what was the one that you were kind of hoping that we would deal with it at some point?
Well, the one I was inquiring about was JS report, not report.js. You got to put the JS in the right spot.
Yeah, who knows what Russian hacker website you'd get if you did it in the wrong order. But yes, jsreport.net, I believe it was.
That is correct. Yes.
That had tremendous reporting capability and is probably worth diving deeper into at another occasion, but we haven't had a chance to do that. So anyway, so we'll cover that one here in just a minute, but if anybody else has something first call, we'll be happy to handle that first.
I have a question for first call, which is, since going to 1.2.2, I noticed there's a get planted app updates job that's running like every 5 minutes.
Yes.
And is that really just going out and checking for updates every 5 minutes? I know you guys turn updates around awfully quick. That just seems like an extra amount of effort.
Yes, so that is exactly what's happening. It's a there is a quiet job, I believe, is we have a terminology. I think it's a system job, probably hidden from you, but it is an automation job that's running in the background and checking for updates. And I don't know the logic about why it's running every 5 minutes, but it's the idea is that when you eventually do navigate to the update screen, that information is fresh and up to date, and yet not done on demand. That was the decision to the way that was architected. Are you just confirming that it's there? Do you have concerns? What?
Well, I have a open ticket on automation jobs failing with a disposed object message. And that's why, that's even the only way I found out that job was really running was that, oh, it was logging out as failing too.
So you're having the issue across the board for your jobs, not just this job.
Right. Yeah, and it's inconsistent as to when that I disposed object error occurs on a scheduled job. It seems to be tied to the schedule activation or trigger. One of the triggering is not just a schedule, because if I run the jobs manually, they'll run fine.
Yep. So do you this is one you have an open tickathon that we're working on, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we'll probably have an answer for you on that ticket in about 5 minutes, right?
Okay. Well, then I'll get the update.
Exactly. Yeah. So that particular job, the get updates, whatever it's called, I know we had there was even a syntax error within that early on that was causing messages to be logged every 5 minutes to the log. So it's that was less than ideal, but Yeah, that is that's going on, and I think the idea is that it should run very quickly and not be impacting to your system. That's the purpose. All right, someone else. I don't know if you can see. Do I have my video on, right? I've got my Plant an App t-shirt. We all got together, and that was the reason that there's been some absences. All got together in Romania and had our team building. That's our real campfire now that's showing on that early video. So you know, we had a good time in Romania. Lauren's not here right now, so I'm going to save this one and see if he happens to come by. So let's move on to contributions. I think everyone here in this group is already a participant in the Campfire website. If there's anybody that's not, shoot me your email and I will happily add you to this. But within our contributions, yep, just one. So this is the ChartJS image being saved to a PDF. And so the idea is here we have a random chart that gets generated. I'm going to refresh. We'll just see a slightly different chart. Okay, that's the chart. If we click PDF, it will create a PDF that includes that chart, that exact chart into the PDF, so it can be easily consumed. So the background on this one, let's actually get logged in here. So the background on this one is that there's JavaScript that happens that generates the chart. If you were to simply put the JavaScript into a generate PDF action, it doesn't generate. It ends up coming up with a blank screen. We think it might be because of the animation that it hasn't completed by the time that that JavaScript takes a while to run, and the image is empty at the time that the generate PDF runs, but for whatever reason you get no content. So that kind of defined the problem. So the solution that I came up with is that if you now I'm in the wrong form, that's why. Not recognizing anything. That if you push the content of the chart into a text field, just some place to store it, right? Some place that you can access it via tokens, that you can then do things with it. I mean, I'm sure there's 10 better ways to do this. I'm kind of a brute force guy and tried to do it in a simple fashion. So I used a large text field, and I've hidden it, not in my UI settings. And so I'm going to just remove this this hiding by way of CSS so that we can see it. The text field ends up getting filled with data, image, PNG. It's something that's suitable. It's the image ready to. I mean, what is this called? So somebody help me. What's this format of an image called? Anyway, it's suitable to be saved or to be manipulated further.
A64.
A64.
Thank you. That's the one I was looking at. And it's if you go into how it's generated, the display chart itself has all, I just took the same example off of ChartJS that generates. So we have the canvas, the script. I modified the script a little bit to add some randomization of values so it would change every time. But then we use we generated the chart here. And then I found an example of how to use to base 64 image method of my chart. And so this is module ID 811. So I said DNN 811 image text, which is the name of the field that I created here, image text. So I set the value of image text to the base 64 value after the animation was complete. And so the thing runs, it generates the image that you see that you're displaying on the field. And then off to the side and previously hidden, it was generating this base 64 image. So now I have that in a token, and you could do pretty much anything that you want with it. For example, you could do save to disk, and there's an option to save that onto your server in a base 64. So you could save these images and reuse them in reports or keep them for historical purposes or whatever you wanted to. But in our case, we wanted to create a PDF. So in the generate PDF, I had a little bit of text first to prove just that my PDF thing was working correctly, but I created an image and set the source equal to the image text token. I mean, it's as dirt simple as you could be. It grabs that same text and pushes it into the source, and that gets it to be, gets it into the PDF quite reliably. So two simple parts, and of course there was a little bit of experimentation before that, but two simple parts, and it worked. Put these back to hide. Any comments or thoughts, or how could Dale have done it better?
Well, yeah, just a comment. First of all, Dale, you've done good. The only thing that I'd like to pass along to folks is that, so I took what you did and I implemented it last night on one of my charts. And just be careful, if you were to put additional fields in that form, it breaks the rendering. So I don't know yet what the lethal combination is, but I had, for instance, I was displaying some JSON and the chart was working, turned the JSON on, and all of a sudden it stopped working. And so I spent quite a bit of time trying to figure out what I broke on my chart, but in fact, there was nothing on the chart. It was just that these other fields were displaying on the same screen, and that somehow was interfering with the process. I don't quite yet know how, but it was. So just be careful with that.
Are you saying that the rendering of the chart in the browser or the export to the PDF was broken?
The browser looked great.
Okay, all right. So the export to the PDF. Okay.
Yeah, it just came up as a blank page again. So being filled with self-doubt, I was certain that I broke something in the chart or the PDF or something. But anyway, to make a long story short, it had nothing to do with it. It was just other fields on screen displaying, causing this error, or causing, it wasn't an error, there was no error. It was just not creating a PDF.
So just the presence of them started to do odd things.
Yeah, I'm not sure that a plain text will do it. It may have been the type of field. Yeah, so it doesn't do it. In my case, I had some JSON
displayed in static.
Yeah. In fact, I've got it. If you want, I I can do a good job at breaking it if you'd like.
Well, since I'm right here, we'll see if we can
Okay.
break it. Okay, yeah. If you want to show, I think it'd be interesting, and maybe somebody will have an idea about why that would do that.
Yeah, if you guys want to, that's fine.
I think Matthew is treading into ghost story territory.
You know, you might not be wrong there, Ben. So, all right, let me just share my screen real quick. All right, so this is my working chart connected up to SQL, and let me just turn on some fields. And I'm pretty sure we'll break it. Okay, so I've got a couple of fields. I think one of these will break it. Watch, it'll make a layer. Okay, here we go. So it broke. And that was just by turning on, I think this field did it.
Yep. So for fun, can you unhide the base64 image text?
Yep.
Just kind of interested to see whether it has content.
Yep. Bear with me.
So it has content.
Mm-hmm.
And if you click on it, it'll.
I'm sorry?
If you do the PD generate PDF here on now, that, I mean, we see that it has content. We click on it, and then.
Oh, that's interesting.
So with it hidden, it wasn't. I'm guessing it didn't get content, and I don't. How are you hiding it?
Same way, display none.
Display none. Yep. Yep, sounds like a ghost story to me. Has all the makings.
But anyway, so this is, thank you, very good, very helpful. And we'll be on to the next step, which is great.
Okay, good. Well, if you've so I think last week Bogdan left with yeah, if you figure out how to integrate with JS report, let us know. We'd love to see it. And in the same way, if you figure out this one, we'd love to know what was wrong there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I maybe so I'll just say, Matt, that along the way yesterday, for a minute, my chart wasn't generating, and it probably, I think it did have to do with extra fields. So I found a combination was working and didn't explore that. So I'm validating, and I ran into the same thing that you did. I just don't know why. It occurs to me that, and Patrick, you may know the answer to this. I'll put you on this. When you push a value to a field, isn't there a function that we sometimes run? It escaped me yesterday, that lets the form know that
to
something
update.
changed.
Yeah. Well,
It's
so
an
you
angular
can.
one, isn't it?
It's what?
Yeah, I think you need to. Well, we have a Dean chart function that is a refresh field, but also you can do a scope. I'm forgetting now. Scope digest. Yeah, something like that. I almost always have to go and find examples of the implementation when I do it. But yeah.
I think there's a dot change action in jQuery which you can apply to a field. I'll look it
I
up.
think that might be triggering our logic.
I would think though in this case, I mean it is working. So
Well, it's working marginally.
yeah, yeah.
I'm just thinking that maybe that scope, and I haven't made note of that in my massive help document, so I have to go look for it. I know, trying to remember where even I have seen that have that implemented somewhere.
If I'm not mistaken, I've had to use it myself, and I believe where I've used it is because of Code Mirror.
Mhm.
The text box, when you apply Code Mirror to it, anything you type in doesn't actually get transmitted back unless you do that type of apply refresh type of scenario, so that the Code Mirror content gets put back into the text box that it's actually overlaying. Otherwise, you don't see the data change.
Is that in this one, Ben? By any chance?
No, because this one is not. It's just the files. It's not showing the
Okay, well, so we're going to leave
actual
something
code.
for the student to do here. We need to look for the scope apply and see if that improves your circumstance, Matt. Patrick, if you can find that example along the way.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look. I think I might be able to share what I have. Let me just look for it.
Okay.
Matt, what field type was it that had all that content before it gets converted into a PDF?
That was a large text field.
Yeah, I just looked up the dot change function in jQuery, and it seems like it would apply here. It lets the field know that content has been thrown into it with JavaScript or jQuery. It triggers the event that normally would fire if you typed into it and then exited.
So are you thinking that this is the syntax?
It's dot change, open bracket, close, open parenthesis, close parentheses. Yeah. Yeah, I usually do it with a $sign notation, but I don't know if that's the same.
So what is the intent of this to notify that field that there is data? So in the presence of additional fields, it will update properly? Is that the intent of this?
That's my hope, that I think we may be doing some stuff on the front end that that in some cases perhaps pushing the data into the field alone doesn't solve the problem. That the field might not know about it in certain cases, and that
Okay.
would do it. That's the theory. I know that I had tried originally to do this with a hidden field custom value, and it couldn't get it to work there, and that might have also been the issue. So I'm interested to see if that solves it. Nope. I don't know why that has to be a large text.
Oh, I didn't mean to click that. So I'm going to put in chat what I've used after updating a field. In some cases, that's something that I've used, and I wish I could explain exactly the context when I need to use that, but
When something doesn't work.
How do you use that, Patrick? Where do you put
exactly what Dale just did. I just put it after the field update.
that after
So
the
I
field update?
yeah.
Let's see. Okay.
So we need to, I guess the best validation then would be for, since Matt has one that's broken, that changing your,
Yeah, I'll give that a try and see what happens.
it didn't break it. That was,
That's good.
Just to jump in, sorry, I just wanted to let you guys know. I was mistaken with the code mirror. They actually have their own internal get value that you have to use. So I wasn't using the Angular scope refresh. I thought that's where I was using it. I know I've used it somewhere, but this wasn't it.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so I got that in there. Let me see what happens. Only got 46 screens open.
We've already covered that Ben has a wall of monitors. How many monitors do you have, Matt?
Me? I've only got 3.
We can't hear you, Ben.
Okay, so let me just give this a run through here. I put that scope digest in. And
I was counting. I have 39 tabs open right now.
it looks like that might have done the trick. So let me share my screen
Please.
and show you guys what's happening. Okay, so actually inside there, I just added that one item.
Did you hide the text field again? Because remember, it did start working after you.
That I have not done yet, and I shall do so now. Oops. All right, let me make sure those other fields, I'm going to turn them all on. They're just kind of diagnostics, but they're causing the problem. This.
Dale, is there a specific reason why you chose to do the static text and do the display none instead of a hidden field with custom value? Just
Yeah.
here. Okay.
And
Yeah.
custom value didn't work.
It didn't. Okay. Well, that's a good reason.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I get brute force.
So previously in this setup, this was making it fail. So let's see if that scope.
No.
The
So
display
it's-
none
Yeah.
is doing something.
Well, it's odd though. It's display none in combination with these other fields.
Mhm.
What
You know.
what might be interesting is on the PDF generator, if you not only have that field in that token in the source, if you also put it in as just text as well, to see if because it may be that it's been corrupted in some way.
Interesting.
Not sure I'm picking up what you're putting down, but you can walk me through it.
Sure.
So in
Just
the
underneath.
PDF generator,
Yep.
I currently am referencing just this token. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, and just put that token into p tags or something.
In addition to or in place
Yeah,
of
in
this?
addition to.
Okay. Quotes, no quotes, right? No quotes.
Of course.
Okay. Save. Refresh.
Yeah. So it has to do with the value not choosing to.
Yeah, so and the next thing I would do is inspect the page, and does that hidden
Yeah.
the hidden field actually have any content after it seems like probably it doesn't. And some reason the introduction of the other fields is making it.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you guys want me to do this now, but could take me a bit.
It's called section 2, right? So you could probably Control F for section 2.
I know nothing.
Instead of using display none,
Yeah,
because I remember this, I don't know why something is tweaking in the back of my mind that I had something similar. Something along the lines of it, like display none actually, in some cases, kind of also makes it look like the object doesn't exist on the page at all. It doesn't actually hide it as much as completely remove it.
mm-hmm.
So if I'm not mistaken, there's another CSS option that you could use called like visibility hidden,
Yeah.
where the object stays on the page, but it's just not visible.
Yep, I actually recall that as well, Ben. Because like I was shutting down breadcrumbs at one point on a, and I had that same kind of issue. So is it visibility : hidden?
Yep.
You're absolutely right, Ben. Google says visibility hidden hides the element, but it still takes up space in the layout.
Mhm.
There you go.
Display none actually removes it and doesn't render it at all.
So my large text field is below my graph, so you can see the space that's been created. So it's there, but it's not, as you said, visible. So let's see what happens.
This is exciting.
So guess what else we got, Jim? We got the text box too.
Yep. So maybe a little bit of extra effort to hide that. But yeah, display none made it go away when there's other fields. It's interesting. It kind of worked, kind of didn't, depending on what other fields were there. So
Right.
Display none is probably the root cause. Anyway.
Very interesting. Thank you.
I have never had a problem with that display none before. I've had
I
problems
know it's
with the
bitten me in the
visibility
past.
with the hidden field that Patrick was asking about. I've had trouble with that not working right when in conjunction with JavaScript. Yeah. So Matt, if you're going to leave it, if you can use the visibility, you can also use JavaScript to throw that out of the viewport. You know, you throw it like way over to the left or way over to the right. You can leave it visible, but no one's ever going to see it.
You might also want to consider, or at least try, instead of using a field, you might be able, right in your static field definition where you have the chart, create a div, give it an ID, and then dump the information into the div using, what is it, dot text, I believe? Dot text equals, or yeah, dot HTML, something like that. It'll or inner text. I forgot exactly what the CSS, the jQuery code is, but you can use that to dump the contents into your div, and then you'll be able to pull that out using JavaScript on the other side, and potentially be able to use that, and then maybe even give that div like a height of 0 or something like that, so it won't have any space, even though it's not visible.
Mm-hmm.
And that may well work, but I think by the time the reason that the generate PDF functionality worked in the way that I set it up was because the thing is actually a token. So you're pushing the button and it's already got it as a value, versus if it's on the canvas on the browser, you may not have access to it in the context of clicking the button.
That's true. It won't come back on postback. You're right.
So that's why I was trying to push it into a field to make it so that you could do it in the generate. So I don't know. It's working creakily. It's possible. So yeah.
Well, I think the thing that next I'm going to explore is saving the image, saving it as an image instead of going right to a display PDF. That way I can use that and pull it back in with other PDF elements, other image elements that are graphs and so on.
Yep. Yeah, I think this, like things like save file to disk and whatever, would rely on the same kind of thing. You're going to have to get the base64 image as a token.
Yep.
And put it somewhere. But yeah, once you've got it as an image, you'll be able to manipulate it however you want. Cool. So yes, moving on with a little bit, I see that Mark has proposed a couple of new feature requests, and give him a chance to talk about those if he wants to.
Sure. That first one, host only, admin only. The idea there is if you're going to be building a website that your client will also have the ability to edit. Basically, it's to keep them from breaking your stuff. You know, it would be great if we could limit form design or listing design to the host. That would be an optional thing. You know, we'd say this is going to be protected, so it's host only. Other times you might not do that. But I, for one, make a lot of websites that others have control. They have admin rights all over the place. So they slowly break things over time. And I visit and I see what's broken and we talk about it. But it'd be great to protect stuff.
Almost like a permissions within the admin of the module.
Yeah. Yeah. Who can see the screen and who can't? What do you think, Ben? You're something's breaking out all over your face.
Yeah, no, I guess maybe because I have used the Evoke version of DNN, maybe I have a different experience, but the going into the edit mode of a module is actually kind of like a DNN framework type feature. That's not something that Plantain app itself has designed. You know, it's just a feature. You have the edit mode and that's what it does. All modules have that ability to go into an edit mode. When you have Evoke, they give you additional permissions on the actual framework level to control who has the ability to see that edit mode. But in the platform free version, they don't. So I'm not exactly sure if that's going to be like that pencil is going to be hideable in that respect, you know, per module, like having a setting. I don't know.
Well, that's one way to approach it. I think another way might be, you know, will the page even open if you're not a host? Or if you're not the right person designated to open it with the right permissions. So the pencil could be there, but it might go nowhere or return to the page that you were on and clicked it.
Unquestionably, we could provide extra security we could. I've seen you do some interesting things with JavaScript before, and what Ben just said makes me wonder, could you take out the pencil on, in other words, could you add JavaScript to the page that locks them out if they're not admin? Just by removing the option.
Well, I'm not sure which pencil we're speaking of, because I'm not talking about like the DNN pencil in the lower left. I'm talking about like if you have going to manage on a form design or manage on a listing design where, you know, the full page of settings for the form.
Mm-hmm.
So that you go into, now I understand which pencil, but interesting thought. That's something to pursue. Hiding the pencil. If they can't get in, they can't do it.
Yeah.
What's the context that they're in administering, I guess is my question.
I'm changing the design of the form.
Hmm.
Some of the forms I make are pretty darn complicated. And, you know, a little tweak could break the JavaScript that's running, that's calculating totals or stuff like that. But believe me, this has happened.
Oh, I'm sure it has. My answer to that would be no.
I would like it to be no.
Wait a minute, actually,
Can't the low-code administrator, if you removed admin and just gave them low-code administrator for your people that you want to maintain the form, isn't that security level already there?
I was gonna say, Mark, you're looking to stop them from editing the form,
Yes.
the module?
It is the module
There is-
permissions.
Yeah, module permissions. I just realized that. That is
Yeah.
actually in the free version.
Yeah.
You have to take off inherit so that only the administrator has edit rights, or whoever you say, and then everyone else, they won't even see that pencil. It'll be gone. They can't get into edit
Except
mode.
that an administrator can come into here and put the checkbox right back in.
Well, then that's means that you're giving people administrator rights that shouldn't have it.
Well,
You
no,
need
my
another
client
level.
has administrator rights, and that's appropriate. And
Well,
he's the exact
in
one I'm
this
trying to keep
particular-
out.
Yeah, but in this particular case, what you're saying is it's not appropriate. You should be creating maybe an admin group that is not as high as administrators and give them mostly everything, but not everything.
You know, I've tried that. In practice, it doesn't really work because they need to have more than what I can give them when I limit. If I give them admin, then they've got everything they need. What I'd like to do is withhold permission to form design, especially. So everything else admin is working fine for them. You know, part of the problem, and this is outside of my control, but like in a larger organization, people change, and the administrator will sometimes designate 2 or 3 additional people as administrators because they have this task they want to get done fast. And, you know, I'm not aware of that happening. It happens without me. And then you have too many people who don't really have the training and they're just getting in there doing stuff. So I'm gonna lock it down.
Yeah, so this is, it makes me wonder, but like at a JavaScript level, you could add some.
Well, yeah, I see it right there. So if we were to hide the list item that is under module that's below or a child of module actions 684, you know, yeah, could do that. I don't think people would be looking for my JavaScript or understand.
Yeah, hide by
how to do it.
obfuscation instead of by actual security.
Yeah.
And then you could
I do
pull that off when you wanted to edit, or you could edit. Of course, they could
So-
also edit by way of the page settings. So
Yes, they could. Not too many people understand that, I don't think, but you know, hiding that pencil would also keep me out pretty effectively.
When you, here's my mic working. Yeah. When you go into the module permissions, can't you select a specific user and then deny them edit?
Yeah, I think you can. And it used to be that being an administrator would not override that, but that was a change in a previous
okay.
DNN that being an administrator does override that. If you're admin, it doesn't hold you back.
Gotcha.
That's a good thought. I used to use that.
I've used it, yeah.
That was 9.4 or something, that area. We changed that. So, you know, what made me think of this is back before I knew all the glories of Plant and App and DNN Sharp, I was using dynamic forms, and they had the ability to do this, and I was taking advantage of it. I would not ever go back, but that was a nice feature.
In the I mean, in the spirit of just kind of spitballing that, it occurs to me you could have a password to access Form Builder, but it's probably, yeah.
How would that work?
No, I'm just saying as another type of change that we could make. You could password protect the form. So I'm saying in theory we could say you could add a password to it and then require that password to edit it. But
Okay, if it were,
I'm not sure it's a good idea. I'm just throwing stuff out.
if something were built to support that, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I don't think I could add one.
Right. No, I agree. I don't think you could. Just so getting back to your request, let's see how it's worded. You're saying that the role of edit, kind of additional permissions around the role of manage form. So it would be in addition to DNN's security. Locking out administrators, tough call.
Are you wondering if that is an appropriate thing to be requesting? You know, we do have two levels. We've got host and we've got admin, and there are things we can do in host that we don't allow admin to see. DNN doesn't allow admin to do. This is, in my opinion, it's one more possibility.
Yep. Well, and if we went that way, I'd kind of go with host only, being able to limit them to host only so that you're not in a situation where admins can do everything but. Right. Patrick,
right.
So you were ready to.
Yeah, I was just going to comment that I guess I know it was mentioned earlier, but I still think that in the absence of something very specific like this, that using another role is the answer, and one that's there that if it's Plant and App as admins, that's a role that you can control. Whereas administrators, you don't have that ability, but with admins, you can specifically lock them out of editing a module with the because it's an added role.
But if they're administrators, they still couldn't do it.
Right, but I'm saying that you just would not. I'm suggesting not giving the administrator's role.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've got a wide range of clients. Some of them, I don't give them admin permission because they're not technically savvy to do that. Others really run with their own website, and they need it. They need the administrator's permission, and I'm happy to give it to them. There's less for me to do when I'm busy.
Mhm.
On the other side, you know, I develop websites for the client, and they ask me to do, hey, can you do a form that does this, and this other complicated thing? And when I provide that, I want to be able to lock it down so that a savvy person doesn't get in there knowing enough to be dangerous.
Are there things that the administrator's role gives that you can't give in a custom role?
Yeah, and it's I don't know the details by heart, but it's in the settings, like site settings and areas that it doesn't involve editing a page. It's more like editing the environment of the site.
And those are things that they need.
Yes. Well, it's just an idea. This one is a little bit more like taking care of a nuisance, really. The image editor field has all, if you go into the actions of the settings of the action for the image editor, then everything is left justified. All the settings are left justified except for those two, crop box width and crop box height. And they are way over to the right. They're just like way over there, and I oftentimes just plain don't see them.
Oh, so this is just the administrator screen itself.
Yeah, it is.
This misplaced. So I'll just mention that like everything is going to get rearranged when we do I mean, when the update that we've done to automation propagates out to the product. I think in the next release, by the way, it's going to be in APIs. Is that correct, Patrick?
Yeah, I think that's right. That's what I recall.
We're going to start pushing those out over there. And forms, I think, is the hardest one. But I guess what I'm saying is everything's going to get a rethink as those happen. So having things thrown out to the right, I think it'll all get examined and become more orderly.
Yeah, well, that would be a good time to address it, obviously. I mean, great, yes. And I noticed on a previous feature request, I pre-reviewed them when I got in here to add that. I saw that Bogdan had marked one of them as in process or in consideration, I think was the term. That was nice. Nice to see the update like that.
Good. So this is just, my curiosity in these last couple of minutes. Any general impressions of the new automation since I just mentioned it, the new UI, and thumbs up, thumbs down, who cares, not using it?
I'm sorry, I can't comment. I'm not using it too much.
I've been using it. There's a couple of things I'm finding annoying in the new, and I don't know if I should put them in a bug ticket or put them out to the forum. Or I've been making a little list of things I would change.
Jim, we would appreciate the list. You can send it to us any way you want. If you send it to my email address, I'll make sure it gets in front of the people that or open a ticket, right, and throw your list in there. That's probably the best place, just so it's not just me. But I think, and are you talking in terms of things that are you cosmetic or functional?
A little bit of both. I've seen some oddities with dates, in there where in the history it's not showing the date, the actual date that the job ran in the same context. So if you look in the message, it's showing one date, and on the screen it's showing a different date. I don't know if that's a time zone difference. But then a couple things like bringing the history button to the front of the tab, so you don't have to drop a menu when you look for a failed message. You don't have to go to the drop menu, pick it, then switch over to the tabs, things like that.
Yep.
Little notations.
Well, I promise you that those things will all get considered. Whether they'll get done is another question, but if you'll send us the list, we'll look at them.
Okay.
I know we're trying to find the right balance between making the screen clean and making it functional.
Okay.
Good. All right, we've hit our hour. Been a good group. Thank you for participating. I didn't have to make any threats at all. We're gonna have our normal schedule, so there's no announcements to be made. But good. Thanks for attending, and we'll see you next week again on the Low Code Campfire.